So, this is my 91 Honda Civic. Built it 2014 originally, just as a front-wheel drive, typical Honda drag car, using D16 GT30 turbo, top mount manifold. Ended up dynoing 436 wheel horsepower on 19 pounds of boost on E85, a rod and piston engine, stock head.
A lot of people don't believe that number either. And you don't care.
I don't.
But I get so many messages or comments. If you don't post the dyno sheet, then it's not real and this and that. I'm sure you get that too, right?
Yeah, I do, but I don't understand why there's people that don't believe that, seeing as there's so many other cars that make so much more power than mine. Seeing just Vitara builds break the 500 horsepower number. It's possible.
Right.
Many people have done it. I kept running into issues with the transmission. I kept breaking them, probably because I'm a cheap bastard and I like to use stock transmissions. What we got going on now for, I guess it's gonna be 2017, the car's been all-wheel drive converted. I'm using the rear wagon diff. I had to make my own custom trailing arms. Yeah, I had to cut the rear spare tire tub out to make room for the custom rear cross member, which you could see underneath.
So this is all wagon rear differential and axles and all that?
Still stock axles until I save up some money for some drive shop axles.
Wow.
But as you can see, I used 2-inch square tubing, 3/16 wall to make the rear cross member. Trailing arms, I had to graft the Wago rear of the trailing arm to the front of the Civic. I had to jig everything just to make sure that everything's symmetrical still and I didn't lose the geometry of the suspension. But everything turned out pretty good. I'm also using the wagon drive shaft and viscous coupler. And that's pretty much for all the stuff on the bottom. I'm going to be using the 97 Honda CR-V transmission, and I'm doing a plateless setup just to save on clearance in the engine bay, just to make sure that the engine and the transmission are fitting in between the frame rails without really smashing anything in. I'm using a twin disc from Competition Clutch. I'm still using the front stock axles.
Cool. Now, when you said stock axles up front, we're using stock B series axles.
Correct.
And we actually been using the stock B series axles with the D series transmission for quite some time, but it was a ZC hydraulic transmission, and that's actually something that I had figured out like some years ago when I was racing a single cam also, and I was able to get my hands on a ZC transmission. And the reason I wanted that is so I had equal length axles to eliminate torque steer as possible. What's really cool about using the B series axles, which means that all the upgraded axles for B series will work with you too. So that's really cool.
So the really cool stuff, like you said, I'm actually still using the same axles I was using when I had the ZC transmission in it. So it's still the factory, I believe, DC Integra axle on the driver's side and DA on the passenger side. So a little bit of cutting, but it's good.
It's really cool.
Yeah, the cables are tucked under the carpet. There's a hole lean into the tunnel, and that's where the cables just go out.
Sick. All right, so here's your B series training.
Yeah, it's down here. I've had to weld some billet in a couple locations here. The average build again, this is actually, it's kind of sad because I had built a CCS block and I had a crack freeze plug hole. My machinist had tried to remove the freeze plug and he said it spun out, then it ceased on him.
So this one's not sleeved either?
No, this is a D16 Z6, full Z6. The bottom end is just the Skunk 2 Alpha I-beam rods for the Vitara pistons. Head, we got Bisimoto 2.4 level camshaft with the SuperTech valve train kit in it.
Oh, you're probably not going to ask as much horsepower from this motor as you did the other?
Precisely.
But at least you'll now have traction, and
yeah, that's what I'm hoping to make up the difference. Honestly, I'm content with the power it made as long as I could get it to the ground. If I get bored, which more than likely I will, I'm going to build another engine.
Very cool.